Car Sales Talk 101, where it's all about life in the car business. Telling you like it is. Here's the man with the plan, Terry Cameron. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Car Sales Talk 101. I'm Terry Cameron. Thanks for hanging out with me again this week. Before we get started, I want to apologize for any kind of background noise. I have my dogs in here because I'm recording this just after we had a blizzard, at least for Central Texas, a blizzard, 5 inches of snow, temperatures down below zero, and have my pets in the house with me, trying to keep them warm. So you may hear them playing or jumping around the back, so I'm going to apologize right now about that. This is episode number 159, and before we get started talking about the car salesman that knew too much, I want to remind you to hop on over to Apple Podcast, leave me a rating or write a review. I sure do appreciate any input that you have. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to talk about the salesperson that knew too much. And in this case, we're going to name this salesperson Low Gross Bill. Let me give you a little bit of background about Low Gross Bill. He's been in the car business for probably 20, 25 years, but he's been in the business of sales in different products for probably about 40 years. And he's from this area, and he knows everybody. He knows them from different dealings he's with them. He knows them from church. He knows them from seeing them at the store here and there and other acquaintances. So he knows just about everybody. And if you've been in the business for as long as he has, or even just a little bit of time, you know those connections are perfect. They are the ones that keep you in the business. They're the ones that take you over the top. But not Low Gross Bill. See, Low Gross Bill, he thought that all his customers, his new customers, B-backs, referrals, whatever, they came to him because they thought, or at least he believed, they thought the only reason they came back is because they were going to get the best deal possible. I mean, he cut right to the chase every time. He didn't want to do a whole bunch of going back and forth, any kind of negotiations. He didn't want to upset his customers or his friends or the people that he's known for years, to the point where Bill was upset if we made more than $500 gross on a car deal. So Bill knew everything. He had to know everything. He knew what ACV was. He knew what invoice was. He knew what the best rates were. He knew what the cost of accessories were. He knew the best incentives. He knew about holdback. He knew about any kind of dealer cash. He knew it all. And the problem with knowing it all is he gave it all up. That's right. He gave it all up right away. He believed that the best deal was the one that you can get to and get out of the quickest with the least amount of negotiations, and then getting his customers on the way. So Bill, Low Gross Bill, he averaged about $500 per copy. Now, at this point in time, he was getting paid commission, and that equated to somewhere around $150 a deal. Now, when you sell 20 cars a month, you're supposed to make a good living. Well, you put the numbers together. $150, 20 car deals. We had salespeople that sold 10 cars and made more money than Bill because they actually negotiated. For some reason, the salesperson that needs to know everything is the one that has the least amount of gross profit. And whether you get paid commission or salary, it doesn't matter. The dealership needs that gross profit to keep the doors open. So Low Gross Bill is no longer in the business. And Low Gross Bill is also living off of Social Security now because he didn't make enough money to save any money. He didn't make enough money to invest any money. Now, don't get me wrong. Low Gross Bill is a super, super, super nice guy. Super nice guy. Everybody likes him. But all these people that like him aren't paying him right now in his retirement years. They still like him. They're still his friends, but he's having to work odd jobs just to make ends meet. Now, again, he's a great guy, and if that's the way he likes to live or wanted to live and he feels good about it, that's fine with me. But that's not the way I want to do it, and I'm hoping that's not the way you want to do it either. So let's talk about this a little bit. Are you a Low Gross Bill? Do you ask your sales manager, hey, what do we got in that car? You know, what's the invoice on this? How much are we making on this deal? Before you even start working the deal? If that's the case, if you know all this, you also know just how much money you can give up to get the deal done. I remember a deal I worked on a car that was hard to find. And we had a customer drive from about an hour and a half away to come buy this car. And I worked with my manager. At this time, we did all of our negotiations by phone from my office to his office, back and forth. And we negotiated back and forth and back and forth. And when the whole deal was over, I was happy that we sold a car. I'm happy that I sold a car, but I knew for a fact that I'm not making any money. I spent hours with this person. And all this negotiations, we had to be down to nothing. Well, after the deal was signed and the customer was gone, that's always when I asked, if I wasn't already told, how did we do? How much money did I make? I want to know at any given time just how many cars I have out and just how much money I have made. And it wasn't a super big grosser, but it was a hell of a lot more than I thought I was going to make. When my manager told me we had a $1,500 gross profit, I couldn't tell you how happy it was. And I learned my lesson right then to don't give up on the negotiations. But I can tell you this, if it were me, if I was low gross bill at that time, if I knew all the incentives, if I knew invoice, I knew what ACV was. ACV, guys, just for the ones that don't know this yet, is the actual cash value of their trade-in. They also, if I knew the cost, if I knew the invoice, if I knew the best rates, if I knew anything about the holdback, if I knew what there was available for me to give up, I would have given it up. And I would have been low gross Terry. Well, nobody wants to be that way. I hope not. If you just want to rush through the deal to get to the end and get the customer moving, you are not an asset to the dealership. You're an order taker. And order takers are really good at offering people things like supersizing their fries. Or do you want the medium Coke or the large Coke? That's right, you're an order taker. We're in this business and we work really hard. We spend a lot of time at the dealership. We spend a lot of work trying to hone our skills, and we should never have to work for minimum wage. It's a shame. I worked for a dealership as a corporate trainer, and the dealer let me know every payday who and how many were paid minimum wage, and made me feel bad about it because I'm the one that trained them. Man, if you're in this business for minimum wage, if you're low gross bill and by choice, then you need to get out of here and let somebody else move into that desk and give them an opportunity to make some money. A 20-car salesperson back then and a 20-car salesperson now would make six figures. Bill was nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. So I want you to think about this. Go into the negotiations. Go up in that customer blind. Just what you need to know is that car, that truck, that SUV that you're selling. That's all you need to know. And you need to know it from front to back, from top to bottom. And you need to be able to ask questions to find out what parts of that vehicle are important to the customer that you can sell. Because if you don't, it's just a cost. But if you can make it a benefit to them, it's almost like, wow, I get all that for only this. When you can start doing that, that's when you're making the big bucks. And here's the other thing that's a key to this. Low gross bill did not get the best surveys. He didn't get a whole lot of surveys at all. These people just came and go, got their deal, and were gone. The people that really negotiate and actually pay more for their money are going to be the happiest customers. I don't know why. Seems to me like they would be the most unhappy customer. But I guess if you negotiate with them, at least for a little while, and they agree to it, they feel like they got a good deal. And at the same time, you get to build a little bit more rapport with them, and they start to like you. And they're always going to give you a good score, at least if you ask for it, if they like you. Don't be a low gross bill. You don't need to know all of that stuff. Just know your part. How to sell the car, how to greet a customer, build the rapport, and ask some investigative questions, how to do a presentation, how to do a demonstration drive, and how to present the figures. That's all you have to do. That's the process. 100% of the process to 100% of people, 100% of the time. If you just do that part, you'll be a success. Now, that dealership is a big, big money-making machine, and there's a bunch of pieces to the pie, and everybody has their piece of pie they need to pay attention to. That selling process is your piece of pie. That and how to follow up and prospect. That's your piece of pie. Your sales managers, general managers, and dealers, they have another bigger piece of the pie that they have to to take care of. They don't need to bother with a salesperson that's going to low gross everybody. It happens sometimes, but it should not happen all the time, and it should never happen because you knew too much. I want you to think about this. If you're a salesperson or a sales manager, don't be a low gross bill. Just do your job. Sell cars and be stars. Remember, the sky's the limit, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please rate it and write a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate your valuable feedback. You can email Terry at 10minutesalestalk@hot.rr.com. And don't forget to share the show with a friend.